So unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Jimmy Butler just had one of the most insane playoff performances ever, where he had 56 points in a win against the Milwaukee Bucks. And because of this absolutely insane playoff performance, I felt that it would only be right that I made a Jimmy Butler build on NBA 2K23, especially since I am a Miami Heat fan. And we went the extra mile, man. We made sure that the build looks just like him, it's gonna play just like him, and I even got the jersey to match the actual build. And speaking of jerseys, if you want to purchase the highest quality jerseys at the lowest price possible, go check out Pristine Jerseys. They got jerseys on this website from every single league that you can imagine, and if you want to go buy some, go use the link in the description down below. All right, but now let's start making this build. You're going to be making this build at the small forward position, handing this right jersey number 22, and obviously first and last name is going to be Jimmy Butler. And then when it comes to the body settings, we're going to go with the height of 6'7", weight 180 pounds with a 7'4" wingspan and a defined body shape. All right, so now let's take a look at the finishing. When it comes to the finishing, you're going to get a 75 close shot, which will get you fast twitch on silver. You're also going to get an 80 driving layup, which is going to get you giant slayer on Hall of Fame, which is a very good badge this year. And then you're also going to get an 80 driving dunk, which is going to get you a lot of very important things. Firstly, you're going to get limitless takeoff on silver, which is going to let you dunk from really far away from the basket. And then secondly, that 80 driving dunk is going to allow you to unlock a lot of really good animations, which include your quick drops off one, your front clutches, your straight arm tomahawks, your Scottie Pippen dunk packages. Those are all things you want to use on this build when you have this dunk rating. And now the last thing when it comes to the finishing is the post control. We upgraded this up to a 70. Jimmy does get a little bit of his buckets in the post. I wanted to add some post control in there so that could be possible. With that 70 post control, you're going to get post spin technician on gold, dream shake on silver, and pretty much all the other post scoring badges on silver except for post spin technician on gold. And now when it does come to the finishing on this build, you're going to be solid. Like I mentioned earlier on, you have a pretty decent close shot, so you're going to be able to mash in the paint a little bit. You have that decent driving layup, which is going to allow you to finish and get contested lays around the rim. And then last and most important, you're going to have an 80 driving dunk, which is a very nice sweet spot in this game. Can't get contact dunks, but Jimmy doesn't really do contact dunks like that in real life. He really definitely is a 80 driving dunk type of guy, and usually dunks with two hands 90% of the time he goes to the rim. He definitely does have that quick drops off one dunk package in real life. And it makes perfect sense too, because Jimmy doesn't need to be flashy when he scores because he is Jimmy Buckets. He's just there to get the bucket and then get back on defense because he's a lockdown defender on the other end, but we'll get to that later on in this video. All right, so now let's take a look at the shooting. On this build, you're going to get an 81 mid-range, which is going to get you midi magician on Hall of Fame, which is a very important thing to have on this build. Jimmy Butler has a pretty decent post fade, and he's also really efficient in the mid-range area, so I had to get him that 81 midi. And then when it comes to the three-point rating, we're going to go with a 77. Jimmy Butler is not super great out at the three-point line, but he could definitely knock down some shots just like he did last night against Milwaukee in very clutch situations. But now let's move on to the actual shooting highlights, and as you're going to see right here, we're using a different jump shot base than what I normally use on these type of players, the 6'5" to 6'9" players. But as you can see right there, we're also shot creating a little bit on this build. We're taking some step back threes, and look at this right here, crunch time, about to hit halftime, step back three in the corner, and that's a bucket. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, you can be a knockdown shooter on this build. Look at this catch, run, head back out to the deep two area, hit that slightly contested deep step back mid-range, and we made it work. Right here, it's a nice little pocket shot, but they ended up getting called for a defensive 3-second violation, but I did make the shot, so I wanted to keep it in the vid. And as you can see, this jumper is fast. It leans away a little bit from the defender, and it's actually a rather popular jump shot that's being used a lot more recently, but I'm going to show you guys that in a couple of seconds. But again, man, you're going to be a knockdown shooter from the mid-range area and from the three-point line, but let me show you guys the jump shot real quick. Right here, going to be base Jimmy Butler. Man, I had to use the Jimmy Butler base on the Jimmy Butler build, and it's actually one of my favorite bases this year. Release 1, Duncan Robinson, another Heat player, and then release 2, Oscar Robertson. And you can see the grades. It's a good shot, it's hard to contest, and it's fast as well. But let's say you wanted access to more information about the best jump shots in this game. Well, I got the perfect solution for you. You should go pick up a premium subscription at NBA2KLabs.com using code Joey to get 20% off at checkout. But now let's talk about the playmaking on this build. With this build, you're going to get a 75 pass accuracy and 85 ball control, which is going to get you quick first step on gold as well as silver handles for days. And lastly, a 75 speed with ball, which is going to get you the Michael Jordan dribble style, which is the best dribble style in the game. And now let's take a look at some of these playmaking highlights right here. We're getting a stop in the paint, grabbing the board and kicking it out to a person in transition. That silver break starter is going to be a really nice thing to have in these situations. And a 75 pass accuracy is going to allow you to thread the needle up the court and get some easy transition buckets. But having that 75 pass accuracy is going to be nice in a half court set as well, because having a 75 pass accuracy will allow you to unlock the LeBron James passing style. And realistically, if you're going going to use any passing styles in this game, I recommend you either use LeBron or you just use none. A lot of the other passing styles have some weird and wonky animations that can kind of sell you some offensive possessions. Right here, hit him with the in and out into the basic spin into the step back. I'm gonna dot my big man at the top of the key. Why aren't you shooting that though, bro? Oh man, I swear these randoms be giving me headaches sometimes. Right here, I'm gonna dot him again, wide open on the hash. Come on, hit one for me. All right, let's just take a look at the defense. All right, so now one of the best parts about this build, the defense. You're going to get a 68 interior, a 93 perimeter defense, which is going to get you clamps as well as challenger on gold, a 95 steal, which is going to get you gold interceptor as well as gold glove. And then we're going to be a pretty decent rim protector on this build. We're going to get a 70 block, which will get you bronze anchor, and you'll still have silver chase down artist. And then lastly, when it comes to the rebounding, you're going to get a 70 defensive rebound, which is going to get you access to bronze rebound chaser on this build. All right, so now let's take a look at the defensive highlights on this build right here. We're getting a lot of lanes on this build. That's the most important thing. And look at these guys right here. They're pressing, they're jamming me so hard. I gotta push the ball up the court because they're just being a bunch of morons. And we're not gonna lie to you guys, having this 95 steal on this build with a gold glove is actually some crazy stuff. You're gonna be able to get a lot of steals on this build, and combining that with having a maximum wingspan is going to allow you to bait offensive players into throwing some mistakes. But man, why ain't you throwing me the lob right here though? You gotta reward the defense, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. If I'm the reason we're running wide open like that on the fast break, bro, you better let me get my bucket, bro, because I'm the reason we got the freaking stop in the first place. But either way, this build is fantastic on defense, whether it's an on-ball player playing off-ball or just coming out of nowhere getting crazy chase down blocks. Either way, you're gonna be solid on this build defensively. And look at this right here. Look at the lock take. We got this guy. We switched onto him and we are giving him hell in this corner. He's out of adrenaline. He's got to pass out. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this is definitely one of the best defensive builds I've played on this entire year. You can play like crazy defense on ball, off ball. You are just an insane lock and you could stop whoever you are guarding, which makes a whole lot of sense because Jimmy Butler is one of the best defenders in the league. And you know what, since we're talking about it, let's talk about Jimmy Butler really quickly, man. Listen, Jimmy Butler in the regular season, you ain't shit. He ain't shit. Let me rephrase that. He might not be shit, but he's still the best player on the Miami Heat, and he's definitely still an all-star type of player. But when he's in the postseason, he is a top 3 player. I might be a little hyperbolic, might be a little biased because I'm a Heat fan, but I think Jimmy Butler's a top 3 player in the league when it is the postseason. He's definitely one of the better players I've seen when it comes to playoff performances, especially recently. But now let's take a look at this build fully maxed out. You're going to get 17 finishing, 20 shooting, 18 playmaking, and 23 defensive badges on this build. And now let's take a look at the takeovers really quickly. All right, so now when it comes to this build, you're going to get a pretty decent selection of takeovers. You're going to get slashing, shot creating, playmaking, as well as lockdown takeovers on this build. And I recommend that if you really want to have a lot of fun on this build, go with perimeter badge drop as your primary takeover, because that's one of the most important things Jimmy is good at, which is defense. And then secondly, I would go with something like pull-up precision just to be a knockdown shooter, especially in that mid-range area. But you can definitely spice it up a little bit, use things like slashing take, use easy blow-bys, or use ankle-breaking shots if you want to, you know, put somebody on the floor. But now we're walking out of the My Player tunnel. You're going to get the player comparisons of Gerald Wallace, Jimmy Butler, and Kawhi Leonard. And you're going to get the build name two-way mid-range creator. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I had to pump this out pretty quickly, so, you know, it would be nice if you could drop a like for me if you made it this far in the video. But yeah, that's it, man. I'm out. Peace.